So this was my whirlwind trip of Vancouver in just a couple days. Touchdown on Wednesday. Rainy and then quickly cleared up. So just moving through the airport, headed over to the SkyTrain and took that to my hotel at River Rock Casino. Stopped by a little shopping center on the way looking for bug spray and getting lunch. Just a quick tour of my room, nothing special, just a budget hotel room. Then it was back to the SkyTrain to head to waterfront downtown. So that's where I saw the famous clock that plays music. There was a lot of gates up for some sort of bike race, I guess the Gastown Grand Prix. But walked around the city, eventually took my bus over towards the arena. But just some quick video of downtown. It was pretty enough. So finally, I was over to the arena. There's the Morgana statue they had there. The line was gigantic for Gen G versus T1 as expected. This was the first go-around of those two. So after getting inside, I waited in the merch line. They were out of the Poro hat, but I still got a Poro for myself. Just kind of wandered around. Everyone was kind of getting ready to get to their seats. So here's what my seat was for Wednesday. Not a bad view. Was able to see the whole crowd. Crowd was electric. And we got a 5-game series. So how about that? Of course, Gen G took it in the end. Had some silver scrapes. And then after the match ended, I headed back to the hotel to prepare for a big day, well, full day one, up in Whistler. So, waking up, still a little cloudy, but as the day went on, it started to clear up, and you'll notice that driving in Vancouver sucks. It's awful. There's no easy bypass to get to the Sea to Skyway, so I had to go through the city. That took like 40 minutes, but here is the Sea to Sky Highway and just the video that I took while driving it. And you can just see it's incredible with the mountains on the right and the water on the left. It's probably the most beautiful road I've ever driven. And luckily it was, because it was a Thursday, it wasn't very busy. A lot of the time, like here, you'll see there's no cars around me at all. So I was able to just grab a quick video. Stopped at Shannon Falls first. Decided to see the waterfall. Just a quick walk right up a hill to see it. Really beautiful. It was actually the car rental guy that suggested go to this one. Said it was very beautiful, and he was right. So here's the first overlook. Then I walked up to the second overlook. Didn't want to spend too much time here because I really wanted to get to Whistler quickly. So just another view of the waterfall there. And then quickly back down. You just see kind of what the forest looks like and how clear the water is. That is, in every stream, I think you could take a filter and pretty much drink out of that water with any decent filter. All the water was very clear. So now this is Whistler. So I think it was $110 Canadian, which is like 80-ish dollars to use the gondolas system. It's about a 15-minute ride up. I mean, it takes a while, but the views are incredible, and they only get more incredible as the day wears on. So eventually you get to the top where you can take the peak to peak to go over. This is the Blackcomb Peak, and then the peak to peak takes you over to the Whistler Peak. So that's what I'm on now. Just taking this over to the Whistler Peak, which then you can go up to the top of Whistler through another ski lift. So just some, you can see it's really trying to clear up. It's still cloudy, but the blue's starting to poke through. So it was really misty once I got to the Whistler Peak. And then there's the Cloudbreaker Sky Bridge, which you have to take another gondola to get up to, which I'm going to do that next. And you can see that here. It's just a pretty standard ski lift. The snow is actually red because of an algae. It's not like any dirt or anything. It's an algae that grows in the snow. I actually did this in portrait because I was so terrified of dropping my phone, because there was no way I was getting it back if I dropped my phone there. So here's the Cloudbreaker Bridge. I took a picture with the Olympic statue because the Olympics were here in 2010. There's the bridge again. But it was still cloudy, so I decided to just walk around and do a little mild hiking first. Maybe like a mile, maybe 2 miles. I just kind of walked past all these big snowdrifts and looked at the mountains, just kind of wandered around, because I was hoping the clouds would clear up a little bit before I went across the bridge, and eventually they did give way a tiny bit for some better views. So I was using my little clicker to take some pictures, and then finally decided to head back towards the bridge again. So it looked like it cleared up just a bit. There's this little glacier pond here. Very pretty. So here's the Cloudbreaker Sky Bridge, which is fine until you look down. If you're in the middle and you look down, you'll definitely feel something. But yeah, it cleared up a little bit. It wasn't completely covered in fog. You could see a little ways. I'm sure on a perfectly clear day, it's incredible to look pretty much out across layers and layers of mountains. But, you can't win them all. Still, at least good weather, not raining. Some people did not know that it is a one-way bridge and they were walking the opposite direction, or at least they don't care enough to follow the rules. That's okay. And then this was kind of like the edge. This is like a little triangle that you can stand out on once you get across the bridge, just to look out further. So that gives you an idea of just how big the bridge is over top the gap. And you can see it's starting to finally clear up a little bit. Eventually I did have to head back down because the Sky Bridge closes early. And the other gondolas close at 5. So had a little coffee and caramel muffin. Great view for it. You can see not a bad place to have a snack. So just, yeah, and the more it cleared up, the more you could see and the more across the mountains. Then I took the gondola back down. If you're a mountain biker, this is a mountain biker's dreams. There were tons of bikers in the gondola with their bikes, either hanging off the back of the lifts or in the gondolas themselves. You just see these bikes propped up against the walls. But there were, possibly 1,000 bikers out on this mountain on a Thursday. Very popular bike spot. So then I headed over to Trainwreck. I found a little waterfall in the meantime, but when I was coming down from the Cloudbreaker Sky Bridge, I had a chat with a Vancouver native, and he told me I had to check out the Trainwreck. So first I found this waterfall, which was not the Trainwreck, and then eventually got put on the right path towards Trainwreck. So just some walking through the forest here, nothing too special. Legs starting to feel it a little bit, but still trucking through. Most of the trails I took were pretty busy, and here's the trains. So in 1956, there was a train wreck, and they just dragged the trains off the track and left them in the forest. And then graffiti and nature took its course on the carts that were just left there. So it kind of just became part of nature. I guess it would have been nicer to kind of see more like trees growing out of them and stuff, but maybe it would have. I only looked at about 13 of the cars. I think there were more the further you walked, but I had seen enough. I was good, so I went back across the suspension bridge and headed back towards my car.
A post for Europe in
After,
1956.
again, 1956. Good year, Eurovision. Started that year. Good year, yeah. So then I stopped at Brandywine Falls because I was not done with my day. Days last until like 9:30. The sun is up for pretty much the entire time because you're so far north. So I decided to check out Brandywine Falls. I think this would have been a more beautiful falls in the morning with the sun hitting it, but because it was so late in the afternoon, the sun didn't really hit it. But I mean, really spectacular, almost like a perfect waterfall when you think of what a waterfall should look like. Took a few more selfies. And then got back on the road again, and there were a few more outposts that I stopped at on the way back. Now you can see the sky's finally clearing up. Finally getting blue sky, and I got blue sky pretty much the rest of the trip. So this is driving through Squamish. I mean, just imagine you live in Squamish and you driving down your main road, and that's the backdrop. So this was the final stop that I made. It was just a little river, or not river, but just a little lakeside area, some ducks, and the sun's finally almost setting. It had to have been like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So I was finally heading back across the bridge to drive through horrible traffic at 8:30 on a Thursday, because traffic's always bad in Vancouver, or at least always slow. And that was day 1. So now we move on to day number 2. Went over to the MSI booths, got to hold Jace's hammer, got to try out Riftbound, which seems like a fine game. I don't know how much I'll get into any more new TCGs at this point, but maybe. Met up with Josh, had a quick lunch with him once his shift was over at the Team Liquid booth, and then decided to go find more adventure out in the wild. So I took Josh back to his hotel, and then went up to Lynn Canyon Park, which was only a 10-minute drive from where I dropped him off. I should have stayed in North Vancouver. Now I know in the future to stay in North Vancouver. If you love hiking and you are going to Vancouver for the nature, do not stay in Richmond or South Vancouver, because you will have to drive through the city to get anywhere. Stay in North Vancouver. So Lynn Canyon Park, there's a suspension bridge, a couple waterfalls, a lot of stairs. Definitely more buggy. Whistler, really, there weren't a lot of bugs. It wasn't that bad. I don't know if it just stays cold and long enough up there that there's no bugs. But once I got to Lynn Canyon, a little worse. Not as bad as the final day, but this was like a Bob Ross painting, how clear and still the lake was, that I came across. And then I found the watering hole. I guess this is where all the locals go for swimming and stuff. It's called the 30-foot pool because you can see this guy is about to dive into the water. I assume it's 30 feet deep, but this was a very popular or not hiking, but swimming hole. Of course, it says don't cliff jump. No one pays attention to these signs, so that was nice. I appreciated all the wooden platforms and planks and stairs at a lot of these parks to make it easier to navigate. Some more crystal clear water, a couple waterfall flumes here. And then these two guys were kind of idiots. They were just doing dumb stuff, but can't blame them, I guess. Probably done it before. Again, just kind of showing you how clear the water is everywhere. So, walked around here just a little bit more. And then more stairs and more stairs. And finally headed back to the hotel to get some food. So there was a night market next to the hotel. So even though I hate driving through the city, the hotel itself was great. A lot of food options, and then the night market here, a lot of games, kind of like a mini carnival pretty much, but a huge representation of the culture of the area, primarily like Japanese, Chinese, Korean, really everything, Indian. I mean, there were just so many different cultures represented throughout the festival, both in food and merchandise and other things like that. So you could really get whatever you want. I had a ramen donut. I had a Korean bulgogi kimchi pizza right there, and then I got some pineapple tea and a few other things. Really just decided to kind of pig out because I burned so many calories. I figured, and I got a little ducky with my tea. Decided just to pig out because I probably burned so many calories the last 2 days. I earned it. But yeah, it was a really cute experience. Only like $4 to enter, so not really anything. So this is the final day. This is Cypress Mountain. I'm doing St. Mark's Summit, which definitely was the toughest hike of all the hikes that I did. It's 6.2 miles, but it is all uphill, and you can see how it's not flat. It is uphill and roots, like giant tree roots, giant rocks, walking through a stream, walking through mud. It is not an easy hike. The distance may make it seem like it is, but definitely a very challenging one all uphill. For those that did Chimney Top with me in West Virginia, it's that, but like double the length and far more technical. So no rock scrambles really, but if you come out here with flat soles, you're going to roll your ankle. Period. You need hiking shoes. You cannot do this trail without hiking shoes. There's no way. And I think they put some stairs down because enough people probably got injured in those spots that they had to. So eventually you'll find all the mosquito pits at the top. And finally, you're getting you can feel yourself getting closer and closer. You see a bunch of people and you know that you're at the overlook, and oh boy, was it worth it. I mean, just gorgeous. Another blue sky, perfect day, the water, everything was just all it was cracked up to be. You can see the bugs flying. The mosquitoes were terrible. There's mosquito heaven right there. The bugs were awful, so the bug spray definitely is a must for this trail. There's the Sea to Sky Highway down there. That's what you can see, that line right there. But this is kind of a full panoramic shot from the true summit, really, the second overlook of all of BC. So really beautiful. Took a few more pictures and then decided I had to get back to MSI because Josh was kind enough to give me his tickets for the grand finals. And this was a Stellar's Jay, I think it was called. You can't really see the color in this video, but it was such a beautiful bird. I mean, because of the shadow it's casting, the feathers were so bright and vibrant. So it's just kind of poking around looking for food. And there were some chipmunks running around too at the top looking for food. So I headed back down, took it slow. My body was feeling it. A lot of running around, a lot of walking around everywhere. So now it was off to MSI again, one more time, this time for the grand finals. Again, Gen G versus T1. I get the rematch of the two best teams in the world. But my seat's a little better this time. I'm on the 8th row in the front. And you can see right there, I'm actually in the walk-in video for T1 on the left. So I got to get featured in that, I guess. And it was another really close match. We got 5 games again. Silver Scrapes was playing. But in the end, it was Gen G that prevailed. Who I picked to win it all, but I was hoping for T1 to win. But yeah, it was Gen G in the end, and that's that. So decided to say goodbye to the Pacific Coliseum one last time, head back to the hotel. I think I went down and got a pizza at the casino hotel that night, and then just retired to my room. So before my flight takes off on Sunday, I decided to see Stanley Park and the seawall. I know that was a really popular destination choice. Really just an incredible view of the city, of the water, the boats, the seaplanes. Kind of a hub for everything. Some herons and or cranes. Again, I don't know what kind of birds those are. I'm not a bird person, so. But yeah, another beautiful day. Been very lucky with that. And after about 2 hours, decided to just head over to the airport and wrap this whole trip up. So I think my final takeaways from Vancouver is if I were to go, well, I'll say when I go back, I'm definitely staying in Whistler at least 2 days. That was the most beautiful area. It would be a perfect hub to find all of the local hiking. I think summer, July, August is probably best. I have no idea what this guy was doing in Denver Airport. He did that for like 5 minutes straight. And then, I think I had a really good trip. And I want to go back and do even some more hiking and go deeper into the wilderness and hopefully find some bears. But touchdown at BWI around 5:10. The Hansons came and picked me up, both of them for some reason, and that's the trip.